Beast Mastery Hunters are quite literally the king of beasts in Cataclysm Classic, and I'm going to show you absolutely everything that you are going to need to know to succeed at level 85. Starting off with, what race do we actually want to play? Now, if you are already at 80 and are going on to 85, don't worry too much about being in the wrong race. However, in Cataclysm, there is going to be some difference. Alliance, that is going to be going with Worgen. For two reasons, in my opinion: Dark Flight Racial, adding a 40% movement speed buff every 2 minutes, but most importantly, Viciousness, adding critical strike chance of an extra 1%. If you're going Horde, I would say to go for Troll for the Berserking buff. Imagine it like a mini Bloodlust. Another good benefit that we're not going to make tons of use of, especially at level 85, is the Beast Slaying passive, meaning you're going to do 5% more damage to beasts. Funny, being we're a Beastmaster Hunter, but the only real bosses I can think of is Beftalak in the Firelands and Shanox with the dogs in the Firelands. I think they're the only two beast bosses we even have in all of Cataclysm, but could be useful while leveling at least. For our stat priority, agility is going to reign king on this one. This is going to give us ranged attack power and also increase our critical strike chance. After that, we want to make sure that our attacks aren't missing our target, and therefore we want to get to the 8% cap as quickly as possible. This works out at 961 hit rating. Write that down. And if you are a Draenei, you do actually get 1%, you do need 1% less, which works out at only needing 841 hit rating if you are a Draenei, so 120 less than other races. Critical Strike up next obviously increases the chance to do a critical hit. Then we have Mastery and then Haste. Haste is actually going to increase your attack speed for you and your pet, and also your focus regeneration. Because we don't use mana these days, of course, we now have focus. If you're wondering what our Mastery stat does, well, this is simply going to increase the damage done by our pets. And that can be seen here, that every point of Mastery you get increases pet damage by an additional 1.67%. This here is the main talent build I would recommend as the standard BM build. There are a few changes you could take out depending on the fight you're faced with. The main change I would say is taking out these 2 points in careful aim in the marksmanship tree, increasing the critical strike chance of a lot of our abilities on targets that are over 90% health, meaning we're going to be doing slightly more damage at the very start of the fight. Because of that then, if we're on a fight where the boss is actually going to go under 90% really quickly, then it may actually be better to take the 2 points out of here and move them into Pathing over here, adding an extra 2% of haste. So it really does depend on the fight that you have at hand for that. But let's have a look at the main BM talents we're using. We're starting off with Bestial Discipline, increasing the focus regeneration of our pets by 30%. You will see up top left, that there's actually your pet and you who both have focus at 110. And of course, being a Beast Mastery Hunter, our pets are going to be doing a lot of damage. We then have one with Nature, increasing the attack power bonus of Aspect of the Hawk, and increasing the amount of focus restored by Aspect of the Fox by 3. If you're not sure about your aspects, this is this bar here. We have Aspect of the Hawk, or the Hunter even, takes on the aspect of the Hawk, increasing ranged attack power. You can only have one of these aspects active at a time, and it's a constant buff that you'll get. There's also the Fox, allowing you to use some of your abilities while moving, and whenever you receive a melee attack, you will gain some focus back. Not as good as the Hawk, FYI. We then have Aspect of the Cheetah, increasing our movement speed. Aspect of the Pack. The Hunter and raid members within 55 yards take on Aspect of the Pack of the Cheetah, increasing movement speed by 30%. If you are struck under the effect of this aspect, you will be dazed for 4 seconds. So you can swap into this to help your party and raid in times of really high mobility. Lastly, Aspect of the Wild, increasing our nature resistance. TLDR, Aspect of the Hawk is usually always going to be the best bet, unless there's a lot of movement going on, at which point I would go for Aspect of the Cheetah or Aspect of the Pack. We then have Improved Kill Command, increasing the crit chance of Kill Command. That's one of our pet abilities. And going on to the next row, we've got Spirit Bond. While your pet is active, which hopefully it always will be, you and your pet are going to regenerate a small amount of health. And it's also going to increase the healing done to you and your pet. We then have Frenzy, where basically your pet's attack speed is going to be ramped up after doing basic attacks, and that is going to stack. Another passive effect there. We've got Focus Fire, a short cooldown on 15 seconds. I'm going to talk through more when we go through the rotation. That's going to be the same for Fervor, and also Bestial Wrath and Beast Mastery. Any abilities that we're gaining in the talent tree, I'll be talking through in the rotation part. We've got Cobra Strikes, where you've got a 15% chance when you hit with Arcane Shot to cause your pet's next 2 basic attacks to critically hit. Arcane Shot is this one here. It's basically our focus dump. It costs 22 focus, and we're going to use this so that we don't cap on focus, and it's just something that we can use to dump all of those resources that we don't need. Our longevity talent is going to reduce the cooldowns on some of our pet abilities. And then we have Killing Streak. When you score 2 kill command critical hits in a row, your third will deal 20% more damage and have its cost reduced by 10 focus. And Kill Command is this one here, giving the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict loads of damage to its target. Ferocious Inspiration, all party and raid members within 100 yards will deal increased damage. You can see it on my buffs here, we have that active at all times. We've got the Beast Within. While your pet is under the effects of Bestial Wrath, the above cooldown, you also go into a rage, causing 10% additional damage and reducing the focus cost of all shots and abilities by 50% for 10 seconds, which is massive. Kindred Spirits, increasing you and your pet's maximum focus by 10. That's why we have 110, not 100. Invigoration, when your pet scores a critical hit with a basic attack, you instantly regenerate some focus. And lastly, Beast Mastery. You're master of the art of beast training, teaching the ability to tame exotic pets and increasing your total number of pet skill points by 4. Because that's right, your pets also do have their own talent trees. For the last few points, we've already spoke about careful aim and pathing, and depending on how the fight is, you may want to go for one or the other. The remaining ones, I'm putting 3 out of 3 into efficiency, reducing the focus cost of some of our abilities, meaning we can use them more. 2 out of 2 into go for the throat. Your ranged auto shot critical hits regenerate some focus for you. Auto shot is basically your auto attack, as you can see me using here with my bow. And lastly, Sick 'em. When you critically hit with your arcane shot, which is the main one we're going to be using in BM, the focus cost of your pet's next basic attack is reduced by 100% for 12 seconds. For our pet talents, it is going to depend on what type of pet you are actually using. I would mainly advise that you use a ferocity pet, but you could also use a cunning pet as well. There is tenacity pets, but they're not as good. Generally, there's so many pets and different abilities that they give, there's too much to talk about in this video. Mainly, the way I would say is it's going to depend on, if you've got a priest, if you've got a shaman, and who is bringing what buffs to the raid or group. And there are so many different possibilities. Generally, if you're in a raid group, I would assume that most of those abilities are going to be covered, and you're mainly going to be choosing which pet to bring based on the main ability that you're actually going to get from them. That, for example, with Ferocity, is going to be Call of the Wild, which is this talent here. Your pet roars, increasing your pet's and your melee and range attack power by 10%, lasting 20 seconds. So if we are going Ferocity, this is the build I'd go for here. Dash, increasing your pet's movement speed massively. Serpent Swiftness, increasing their attack speed. Bloodthirsty, your pet's attacks have a 10% chance to heal some of its health. Boar Speed increases their movement speed. Charge means they can charge in, increasing their melee attack power. There's a lot of abilities that they can use. Spider's Bite increases their crit chance, etc. And then we've got things like Rabid and, like I said, Call of the Wild, where Rabid, your pet goes into a killing frenzy. Successful attacks have a chance to increase attack power by 5%, and it can actually stack up to 5 times as well, lasting 20 seconds. The Shark Attack talent just means they do more damage, and Wild Hunt means that when your pet is at or above 50 focus, their basic attacks are going to deal more damage, but cost more focus. Then we have the Cunning pet here. Similar talents on a lot of them, but we get the Roar of Recovery cooldown. Your pet's Inspiring Roar restores 30 focus over 9 seconds. And Wolverine Bite on a 7-second cooldown, a fierce attack causing damage. And then the same Wild Hunt, etc. So you can see there's a few small differences depending on it. And as Beast Mastery, you can use exotic pets like the Ravager here. If you're not sure which pet to take, because there's so many, I would recommend using the Petopia website and look on their forums. If you just search for Cataclysm in there, there's going to be loads of results that come up. It's so in-depth, it's just crazy. So if you are a beginner or you're not sure, I would really just pick it based on if it's Cunning or Ferocity that you want. For the Glyphs, in the Prime Glyphs, I would go with Glyph of Kill Command, reducing the focus of that skill, Glyph of Kill Shot, if the target from your kill shot fails to kill a target at or below 20% health, its cooldown is instantly reset, which only has a 6-second cooldown. Kill Shot is this ability here. Basically, it does a massive amount of damage, but you can only use it at 20% health or lower. So if it fails to kill the target, like if you're on a boss in a raid, you can then use it twice in a row on a 6-second cooldown. Arcane Shot deals more damage. Then going on to Major, we have Trap Launcher, reducing the focus cost of that ability. Bestial Wrath, reducing the cooldown of it, and Raptor Strike, reducing damage taken after you use that ability. For the Minor, we're going on to Feign Death, reducing the cooldown on it. This is where you can literally play dead on the floor and lose all threat. Glyph of the Aspect of the Pack, increasing the range of that ability for your raid members, and Revive Pet, reduces the pushback suffered when you are reviving your pet by 100%, meaning that if your pet does die, you can actually revive it with that spell and receive no pushback, getting your pet back ASAP. And these are all pretty standard glyphs for BM Hunter. But how does it all come together into a rotation? The first thing we're going to do before we even go into battle is actually apply this here, Hunter's Mark. We're going to start off with a single target rotation, which is basically this top row here. We've got a few different spells here regarding the AoE rotation, and then we've got cooldowns and utilities are over here. So don't look at this and think, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. So we're going to put Hunter's Mark on, which puts this big red arrow above our target. And we can do this before we go into battle. It places the Hunter's Mark on the target, increasing the ranged attack power of all attackers against that target. And in addition, the target can always be seen by the hunter, even if they try and stealth, etc. The next thing we're going to do is apply Serpent Sting to our target and keep this up at all times. You're going to see that what this is going to do is just do a dot or damage over time for 15 seconds on the target. You are only going to need to put this on at the start of the fight because this spell at the end, Cobra Shot, which is our 2-second cast but is free, meaning it doesn't cost any focus, deals weapon damage plus 500 in the form of nature damage and increases the duration of your Serpent Sting by 6 seconds and actually generates 9 focus. So basically we go into the fight, put our Serpent Sting on, and then we're going to refresh it before it falls off with our Cobra Shot, meaning we never have to put Serpent Sting on more than once. After that, we're going to use our kill command on cooldown, and you can see there that you can only use it if your pet is in range of the target. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict a large amount of damage. The pet must be in combat within 5 yards. Then we're going to use Kill Shot whenever it is available. Don't forget, if you have taken the glyphs upon my suggestion, you will be able to use this twice in a row on a 6-second cooldown once the enemy reaches 20% health or lower. Then we have Focus Fire. Consumes your pet's frenzy effect stack, restoring 4 focus to your pet, increasing your ranged haste by 3% for each effect stack consumed. Now you can see here that it's completely lit up. And that, remember, is from the Frenzy talent here. Your pet gains 6% attack speed after attacking with a basic attack, and that can stack up to 5 times. When it does get to 5 times, your focused fire will light up like this. And that is when we're going to use it. So we're only going to use it when we get those 5 stacks and it lights up. So we don't really have to remember about checking those frenzy stacks. We will know when it's time to use it because it will light up, and that is when our pet is at the maximum frenzy stacks. There is, however, one instance where you shouldn't be using Focus Fire even at the 5 stacks, and that is if you're about to use this cooldown below it, Bestial Wrath. Send your pet into a rage, causing 20% additional damage for 10 seconds. The beast does not feel pity or remorse or fear, and it cannot be stopped unless killed. Because what you're doing is increasing massively your pet's damage, we don't want to take off the frenzy stacks increasing their attack speed. What I'm saying is, obviously we get the frenzy stacks when it's auto-attacking, building up to do more and more attack speed, and we then consume it with Focused Fire. If you use Bestial Wrath at 5 stacks of Frenzy, of course your pet is doing more damage at a much higher attack speed. Meaning if we use Focus Fire, it's then actually attacking a lot slower, and therefore even if we use Bestial Wrath increasing its damage, it's doing much more damage but at a slower rate. Therefore, if you are going to use Bestial Wrath, hold off on using your Focus Fire until Bestial Wrath wears off. Hopefully that makes sense. After that, we're just going to use our Arcane Shot basically just to spend any excess focus. And after that, if we've got nothing else to do, we're going to use our Cobra Shot. Don't forget, we're going to also use that to make sure we're refreshing our Serpent Sting on the target. And that mainly is what we're going to be doing in the main single target rotation, excluding cooldowns. For AoE, or multiple targets, we're going to do something slightly different. If we've got 3 or more enemies, we're going to use our multi-shot as much as possible. That's this attack here. Fire several missiles hitting your current target and all enemies within 8 yards of that target for 120% weapon damage. After that, we can use our kill shot when applicable, and if we don't have any focus left to use multi-shot, we can use our Cobra shot to get that focus back and get more multi-shots out. That is pretty much it for the AoE differences in the rotation. Then we have a few cooldowns that are very interesting. Rapid fire here, increasing ranged attack speed by 40% for 15 seconds. Use this on cooldown, very straightforward there. And then we have Fervor and Bestial Wrath. We've already discussed Bestial Wrath. Use this as much as you need. Again, not when you're using Focus Fire. And Fervor instantly restores 50 focus to you and your pet. I would say that you should use this as much as possible, but of course, make sure not to overcap your focus because that is wasting it. You could dump all your focus with Arcane Shot and then use Fervor, for example. Regarding your pet cooldowns, if you are taking a ferocity pet like I am here, obviously we get the Call of the Wild cooldown, which is one of the best there is. Your pet roars, increasing your pet's and your melee and range attack power by 10%. You want to use this with your rapid fire when possible. That's increasing the attack speed, and the Call of the Wild will increase your attack power. Synergizing these together will of course equal a much higher DPS output. You don't of course want to use your rapid fire with things like Bloodlust, it doesn't stack, or Heroism if you are on the Alliance. Then, looking at the utilities we have, I've put some of the important ones I think you should know about here. Wing Clip, maiming the enemy, reducing target's movement speed by 50% for 10 seconds, but you do need to be in melee range. Misdirection, this is a really interesting one. You can see here, I'm not targeting a target, but more an ally. The current party or raid member targeted will receive the threat caused by your next damaging attack, and all actions taken for 4 seconds afterwards. Transferred threat is not permanent and will fade after 30 seconds. Going into a fight, it's a great idea to put this on your tank so that you can go in blasting. We have Disengage, where you quite literally leap backwards out of whatever you're standing in or trying to get away from an enemy, etc., but you can only use it in combat. We have Tranquilizing Shot, which will remove enrage and magic effects from an enemy. Scatter Shot, which is going to disorient targets. Camouflage, where you can basically blend into your surroundings, making you and your pet untargetable from ranged attacks, and reduces the range at which enemy creatures can detect you. It is quite literally camouflage. We then have the Freezing Trap. Place a frost trap that freezes the first enemy that approaches, preventing all actions for up to a minute. Any damage done will break the ice. This will literally just encase them in ice, incapacitating them. And it does share a cooldown of your ice trap, placing a frost trap that is basically going to slow everyone in the area once triggered. You can also use the trap launcher ability so that you can basically launch the next trap you use. As you can see, I've just demonstrated there for you. And that is pretty much it for the main rotation. Now then, looking at utility things like gems, enchants, professions, and consumables, you are going to need reputation due to the 2 above my head, one being the Ramgehen in Uldum, or Uldum, and also Pharazane Rep. There is a rare version of this at Revered rather than Exalted as well, but these are really important enchants that you get. Looking at the gems then, I would go for the Delicate Inferno Ruby in your red slot, adding pure agility, an Adept Ember Topaz in the yellow slot, adding agility and mastery, and a Glinting Demon's Eye in the blue slots for your gems, adding agility and hit rating. For your meta gem, I would go for the Agile Shadow Spirit Diamond, adding agility and increased critical effect. It's an interesting one for the professions. They all add something quite useful, but in my opinion, the best ones would be to go for enchanting and alchemy for agility users like yourself, adding 40 agility as an enchant to each individual ring at 80 agility, and mixology massively increases the effect of your flask. For your main weapon enchant, it's going to be Landslide, giving you a chance to increase your attack power massively for 12 seconds. For the consumables you're going to want, Flask of the Winds will increase your agility by 300, or 380 if you do have the mixology buff from Alchemy. Potion of the Tol'vir, again, a massive agility increase that you're going to want to use as your potion paired with your cooldowns. Skewered Eel is going to be the food you want to buy, adding 90 agility and stamina, and a mythical healing potion is going to be the healing potion should you need it. And that is it, guys. That is everything you need to know to play Beast Mastery Hunter. Hopefully this was useful. If you've got any other questions, feel free to join my Discord. We've got a really helpful and friendly community. And if you need some extra help from me, feel free to join my Patreon. A lot of people use ad blocks and the like these days, and it is difficult to make your money as a gaming creator. And any support on Patreon is greatly, greatly appreciated. It does unlock a VIP channel in Discord where you can ask me direct questions about any issues you may be having, unlocks LVI minimalist profiles that I've built, written guides for you on there that are more general, like how to sim and log and analyze your character, as well as spreadsheets and other resources that I have. That is, of course, linked in the description for you, should that be something you wish to do. If you are looking for other Hunter spec guides for Cataclysm Classic, or maybe even another class, check out this playlist here. I've done all of them for you.